Broadcast journalism lost one of its greatest champions today after Motty Perkins signed off air permanently shortly after 1 this morning at his home in Stony Hill, St Andrew. The 80-year-old lost his battle with pneumonia. Wilmot Perkins enjoyed the longest career of any working journalist in Jamaica. Probing, analytical and fearless, he forged a reputation as a colourful journalist. Loved by many, hated by some, Perkins was said to be as absorbing as he was entertaining. An artful storyteller, Motty Perkins showcased his reservoir of knowledge about world history, politics, economics and the social sciences. George Davis looks back at the life of the talk show host whose opinions and viewpoints resonated deeply within the common man.
Wilmot Perkins had an extraordinary grasp of world history, anthropology, sociology, philosophy, and theology. He often engaged his callers, some of whom included the most eminent minds in politics, law, and pedagogy, in deep and reasoned discussions, which often seemed to his listeners like a crash course. Perkins would oftentimes dig far into history when building an argument, not to stump his callers, but to ensure that those listening would have a full understanding of what he was saying.
Look at Japanese history and compare it with African history. The Japanese recognized what the Europeans had. They took advantage of it.
Yes.
The Meiji Restoration occurred in 1861.
Yeah.
Right? In 1905, they had a quarrel with the Russians, and the Russians sent their Grand Fleet all the way around.
Despite building a reputation as a tough and rigorous interviewer, Perkins said that if people were confident, they'd never be afraid of calling his program. However, he said that people should fear him if they were batting on a bad wicket. According to Perkins, if his callers had doubts about their arguments when they called him, then they may find the experience embarrassing. Perkins has had many showdowns with most of the country's leading politicians and rarely ever emerged from those confrontations as the loser. He's known to have said that Jamaica's politics could not accommodate an educated population. He's highlighted what he believes is the major failing in the country's education system, that the methodologies do not promote thinking. Jamaicans, according to Wilmot Perkins, do not value ideas. His views on race and the consequences of slavery have angered many historians over the years. Perkins believed that black people were seeking answers to the wrong questions about their past as colonial subjects. He believed that black people should be trying to understand why Europe went to Africa and not Africa to Europe. He also believed that black people needed to understand why Europe dominated the world for 500 years. Wilmot Perkins has had an outstanding career from his time as a parliamentary reporter through to his various stints as newspaper columnist and talk show host. His voice and mannerisms on air were distinctive, as underscored by his unique, almost patronizing laugh and his staccato style of saying the word no.
Then I should be happy that she's exposed to his will?
No.
But what's the difference between what you're saying and that illustration? You could laugh 1,000
That is
times.
a waste of time.
I'm very serious.
No. What about the word whitewash?
It's a whitewash?
Yes. Is that a complimentary term?
You tell me. You tell me.
The vocation of broadcast journalism has lost a true legend. George Davis for Nationwide News.
And reactions have been pouring in through traditional media and new media social networking sites following news that the iconic journalist Motty Perkins died this morning. Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding is hailing Motty Perkins as a fearless operator who was brilliant at his craft. There have also been a flood of reactions on Twitter and Facebook. Abka Fitz-Henley has more in this report.
Former Prime Minister Bruce Golding says Wilmot Motty Perkins was a defender of the poor.
We have lost a great man. He has been described as an icon, a brilliant intellect, fearless, irrepressible. Motty Perkins was all that and more. I think more than anything and everything, he was the preeminent defender of the common man and his fundamental rights. And he espoused the vision of the quality of life that that common man should enjoy and indeed is entitled to.
Mr. Golding also lauded Mr. Perkins' common touch, saying he was a man in whom his family should be well pleased.
He did so without patronizing him, without pandering to cheap popularity. Motty was someone who dared Bill Daniel. He was never afraid to stand alone in defense of what he believed was right, no matter how unpopular that position might have been. Elaine and the rest of his family, even in their grieving, and I extend my profound condolences to them, but they can be proud of who Motty was, what he stood for, and the immense contribution he had made to the Jamaican people.
When news broke earlier this morning that Mr. Perkins' innings had come to an end, social media lit up with comments from persons from all walks of life. "What good, Motty, are you set it so we can get it?" was the sentiment coming from the Facebook post of popular broadcaster and social commentator Dr. Kingsley Ragashanti Stewart. Ex-Deputy Commissioner of Police and former Scotland Yard man Mark Shields took to Twitter to reflect on the late Wilmot Perkins. "I can recall the summons. Motty Perkins wants you on his program, and my next thought was, what have I done now?" Shields tweeted, adding that he appreciated that Perkins was determined to hold all accountable. Dancehall diva Cecile, beauty queen Yende Phillips, and dancehall entertainer Rodney Bounty Killer Price all tweeted words of praise, hailing the late icon of journalism. By 3 o'clock this afternoon, across Jamaica, the name Wilmot Motty Perkins was a trending topic on Twitter. Earlier, a statement from Mr. Perkins' last employer, Independent Radio Operators of Power 106 FM, says Mr. Perkins represented to his colleagues the uppermost standard. It added that even while he was ill, Motty refused to stay away from the microphone, insisting that he had an obligation to his listeners. Rest in peace, Mr. Perkins. Abka Fitz-Henley for Nationwide News.